This is Decarbonite, and I'm here to tell you about our mission to create the most sustainable fiberboard in the world. So my name's Dan Ellis. I'm an award-winning industrial designer and the inventor of Decarbonite, and I work with J. Paul Neely, who's a 2-times founder in emerging technologies. And together, we're incredibly excited to be solving the problem of medium-density fiberboard. So medium-density fiberboard, otherwise known as MDF, is absolutely everywhere. It's probably what all of your kitchen units are made out of. It's maybe in all of the furniture in your house. We love it, obviously, as a culture. We use tons of it. But it has 3 critical problems that make it incredibly unsustainable. So the first is that MDF's made from 80% virgin wood stocks, so cutting down trees at their peak of their carbon sequestering potential. The second is that MDF is bound together with toxic petrochemical binders that are toxic for the craftspeople that work with the material and toxic for the consumers that buy the products. And the third is that these toxic petrochemical binders make MDF an absolute nightmare to dispose of. So almost all of it is incinerated or sent to landfill. So this is a growing problem. The MDF market is expected to reach $100 billion by 2030. Right when we should be using less of this material, we're actually set to be using a whole load more of it. And so introducing Decarbonite, which is our solution to this problem, which is a patent-pending, non-toxic, 100% biodegradable, and carbon-negative alternative to traditional MDF. It's beautiful. You can come and have a look at it afterwards. It takes paint finishes, veneer finishes, you name it. It performs very similar to MDF. We're able to achieve these performance characteristics by combining fast-growing hemp, reinforced with biochar, and organic binders that together create a product that is both sustainable and doesn't compromise at all on quality or performance. So we want to take this product to the furniture industry. So that's 50% of the MDF market today, which is the majority. And we're already in early conversations with IKEA to see what it would look like to integrate into their supply chain. Pending the right testing and certifications, we also intend to enter the construction industry at a later date. But today, we found a really nice niche market right here in the UK with a lot of demand for our material. And that's the theatre, TV and film set production market. So a typical film production might use 14,000 sheets of MDF. They're up for 3 months while the production runs, and after a single use, they're all incinerated. So we're in talks with the National Theatre, and they're really keen to get Decarbonite into their productions to reduce their impact. And one of the reasons is the beauty of Decarbonite is that it's perfectly circular. So you can chip it up, recycle it, and repress it, or you can put it in the ground as a soil additive that enhances the quality of the soil and can be used to grow more Decarbonite boards in the future. And so we've achieved all of these sustainability characteristics and all of these performance characteristics. And we're also incredibly proud to have reached price parity with premium MDF. And we believe that at scale, we could be cost competitive with most composite wood products. And that scale is why we're here today and why we need your support. So in order to scale up our production, we need expertise and investment so that we can start supplying the creative industries in the UK. So we plan to supply the National Theatre and others like it this year and next, before moving on to our ultimate goal, which is entering IKEA's supply chain by 2030. So thank you for considering Decarbonite. Please come and chat with me afterwards and have a look at our material. And I hope that together we can realize Decarbonite's full potential at scale. Thanks very much.
Well done. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, let's get on to questions. And starting with one as questions coming from the audience on how you can compete with MDF volumes coming out of China at such low prices.
Yeah, so obviously there are low prices in China, but they still have to use wood as a primary material, which is slow growing, will ultimately be bound to the same kind of supply chain pressures as wood internationally. And because Decarbonite is made from 100% agricultural waste, we believe that even if we were manufactured in China, we'd still be able to produce Decarbonite cheaper than wood-based composite wood products. But something else that you can't ignore is that when we spoke to the National Theatre, actually one of the things they were most interested about us was that we were manufactured in the UK, and they were willing to pay a premium for that because obviously with new regulations and a price on carbon, we may become competitive with products produced elsewhere that will be cost as such because of the emissions that it'll cause.
Okay, we've had a question in, is the product patented?
Sorry?
A patent, have you got patents?
Yeah, so we're patent pending. No one's ever made this material before, and we've just submitted our last revision and waiting for it to come through.
Brilliant. If we have time for the next question, are there any competitors with similar patents pending?
I can't comment on that question specifically. What's that, sorry?
I know a few.
You know a few? Yeah, so I can't comment on that specific, but there are obviously competitor products. Yeah.
Okay. Any further questions from the audience? Let me see while we're getting those through. We have another question in about why your focus on movie studios or theatre productions when we know they run on such tight budgets, and why they'd be willing to use Decarbonite with that in mind.
Yeah, so they've already expressed quite a lot of interest in our material. Naturally, some of them do have tight budgets, but they also have a lot of strict regulation coming in, forcing them to use more sustainable materials. So the National Theatre and theatres up and down the country are having to comply with what's called the Theatre Green Book, which requires that 50% of the mass of their productions are made from sustainable, recycled or repurposed materials. And so they're willing to pay a premium to meet those regulations.
Brilliant. We've had a question in from the audience asking about how your process differs from MDF production.
So it's very similar to MDF production, although it has some important distinctions that I'm sure you'll appreciate I can't talk about today. But they have to do with the fact that we're not using wood, we're using hemp, so that has a whole specialized process associated with it. We're not using standard urea formaldehyde binders, we're using our own proprietary organic binders, which has a whole specialism and knowledge associated with it. So it's similar machinery, but requires a specialist know-how.
Another question in asks about whether the material is usable across different climatic regions.
Oh, that's a very exciting and interesting question. We haven't had the luxury of testing it across different climatic regions yet, but with funding and time, we would love to be able to do that.
Brilliant. And how long does it take to compost, and how is it regenerating soil?
Yeah, so I'll take that in two parts. So the answer to the first question is that we don't know exactly. Our company hasn't existed long enough to test how fast this material composts. And you should actually try that in order to know. How is it regenerating the soil? Well, it's made from loads of carbonaceous materials that will fertilize the soil as they degrade. But importantly, because it has a biochar component, the biochar will never degrade. So the carbon dioxide locked into the biochar will remain sequestered. And biochar's primary market right now actually is as a soil enhancer. But it's a misconception that it degrades. It doesn't degrade. It actually provides a structure and an ecosystem for soil microbes to live in. So as the material degrades, it will both enhance the quality of the soil and leave biochar remaining that will permanently enhance the quality of the soil.
You have samples at the table that people
Yeah,
can
we
see.
do. Please come and have a look at them.
Brilliant. That brings us to time. Dan, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.